Now then, we have the new patch out, and not only that, we have the new cards. So that means it's time for another 6 faction, 6 decks. I have actually had some time today to try out some of the decks. I managed to play at least one game with each, and there's just tons of stuff to try out, to be honest. I really didn't even know where to start. I had a couple of things I was excited to play, and then I was playing one game and then wanted to go into another thing. So I'm really happy with this patch. Lots of interesting to try out. Um, Now, if you've never watched one of my 6 faction, 6 decks, it's basically me showing the deck lists for one for each faction, and these aren't what I think are like the best decks. These are kind of things I put together that I think look interesting, try out, and sort of sharing them with you on day one. So if you're stuck for ideas and you're looking for something for a certain faction, then kind of the video for you. Um, and yeah, so we have a ton of decks to cover, some really interesting ones. So I will go into the decks. So to start us off, we have monsters, and no surprise, this is going to be White Frost, and this is like a very sort of traditional list. I just wanted to try out the new cards, basically, see how they fit in with the archetype. I am aware, and I have tried, and I think it's very broken. There is a very, very abusive sort of thing you can do with White Frost at the which is you basically play all your Frost, it's non-diversion, and you use Foglets and Ternalia, the new location, probably pronounced that wrong, but whatever, to get quite simply stupid amounts of Frost on the board. Like operators, so your opponent has an ancient Foglet, so you can then do whatever multiple turns, and you basically just spam out Frost. You run things like Dwimbera to reset the location, and it's very abusive, very very broken deck. But I went a bit more wholesome with this. This is just very sort of traditional kind of White Frost deck. Um, I was very impressed, to be honest. Especially with Caranthea. I mean, I expected Caranthea to be very good, and no surprise it was. Um, playing for constant 2025 really wasn't that big of a problem. Pretty much every turn I could have played him, so my concern was later on he'd be a bit awkward to play as like a last say kind of thing. But it turned out not to be the case. You can slam him earlier if you need dominance, but I found it really wasn't necessary. And we're literally just doing that. We're spamming out Frost, and getting Ancient Foglets very tall. The aristocrats honestly have impressed me. In my sort of review video, I wasn't that impressed by them, but they seem pretty good. The extra Frost paired with an Ancient Foglet's always nice, which also helps for like just natural points, which was very very nice. So yeah, very interesting kind of list. I think it's something if you've played White Frost before, you're going to be very comfortable with this. It's basically just a couple of cards, a couple of change cards, and be good to go. So for Northern Realms, this is where things start to get a little janky. So I've got a Reaver spam deck, and I'm aware in my video I said I don't think the whole, pretty much any of the NR cards are good, and I still kind of don't. But this deck was very fun to play. Like spamming out Reaver Hunters was really really fun. How good it is, I think it's kind of one of those decks where if you're left alone to do your thing, it's very very good. But that isn't always going to be the case. So what we've got here is 1,000,001 ways to spawn Reaver. We're running things like Idoran, obviously Paul. We're running the Scouts, which are running Garrison, which will spawn a Reaver Hunter and Mushy Truffle. So you end up with an absolute ton of really, really nice. You then have Dwin Deandra for resetting either Mushy or Garrison. You get another order on that, and it can get quite scary. I found it wasn't a problem to basically get 8 Reaver Hunters down in multiple turns, and 8 points a turn on your opponent's largest unit adds up very quick, and you spam out the board very quickly as well. I was kind of surprised how quickly I was able to get these Reaver Hunters out. Because if you think each turn you functionally can play two, it around getting more, so it gets kind of silly. I don't think this is going to be like a hyper competitive, super strong list, but it was definitely fun and definitely one I'm going to play again because I imagine NR is going to be part of my sort of laddering, trying to rank highly sort of thing. So I'll definitely be playing more of this. Then for Nilfgaard, we are trying out the new Toussaint Hospitality, and if you haven't seen how these work, the idea is you're boosting up your opponent's units, you're going to benefit from boosting theirs, and then you're going to basically steal back that boost, or you're going to destroy that unit or reset it. And yes, I'm running ahead, and don't hate me, it just makes sense in the deck. And so that's basically what we're going for, is a ton of ways to get very tall units, a ton of ways to reset them at the end, and that's kind of how the games go. The early rounds, you're boosting up your opponent's stuff, and you're getting kind of the benefit of it. And then you can play things like Ivar, and things like Peter Sag. I'm not even going to try and say his surname. Let's just say Peter, Geralt, and Beauclair to just reset everything. And it seems pretty good. It's not a surprise that there's a fair bit of this on the ladder, because it's quite hard to effectively deal with this, because what do you do? The threats are on your opponent's side, they're on your side. You're at a detriment having a very tall unit, so you can really struggle to find a way to answer this. Defenders are kind of going to be your best friend against a deck like this. Just try and protect the boosted units and make it so your opponent can't really interact with them as much, can't get as many resets and that kind of thing. I don't think this list is like absolutely perfect. I think there's still work to do, but I think from what I've sort of seen playing it, the standout cards are False Siri, very, very good, and Milton and Palmerin, thought very good. I like that they've been changed and they're actually playable now. And Beauclair, which I expect Beauclair to be very good, but it actually kind of is when you're stacking this kind of situation. I thought you wouldn't need that many boosts, wouldn't need that many resets, sorry, for this deck, but Beauclair's really, really good. It also gives you that payoff. And finally, Bahar is busted. It's very, very good. It's basically 9 points. 9 points for 4. Because you're going to steal that 3 boost anyway at some point. So it's kind of amazing. Don't know how much I'm going to play this. Although I thought it was pretty good, it wasn't one I loved playing. I don't think it's a deck that's like unenjoyable. I just think the way that I like to play decks, this wasn't really it. But it was an interesting one nonetheless. And now for Scoia'tael, it's, would you believe it, we're going Nature's Gift. This is very wholesome. And this again really impressed me. Orquen is very, very good. I thought she would be good anyway. I can't remember what I rated her in my video, but I think I said, I thought she'd be decent. But she's even better than I expected. I kind of was using this as a round 1 kind of card. Play this, get your value onto your later dryads, giving them the nature tag as well. And she basically carries around on her own, because she infuses herself. So I was confused how this would work, but because she infuses herself with nature, this happens before she's played in effect. So it counts as you're playing a nature card, so it procs Symbiosis. Because you're playing Nature's Gift, you already have 1 Symbiosis, she has Symbiosis, so you spawn a Treon of 2 power, and if this is your first play, it'll also gain 1 Vitality because of having a Dryad. And that was really my initial concern with this card, was whether it would work like that, because 5 is very slow on tempo, whether you'd be going slow, but it comes down as 8, basically on deploy with carryover, and if this sticks, you just win the round basically, because it just keeps going and going and going. There's really no way to deny the value she's offering. It's kind of ridiculous, and just playing her in a round where you just play a load of nature cards just felt very, very good. Maybe you play like one other Dryad or something, but just hitting this early on seemed to be the way to go. And then you obviously have a massive Ethne or later on that just is, immune, can't be touched, which is really nice. Also giving you Symbiosis 3 in round 3, which is very, very good. Every nature's playing for 4 points on top. Really, really good. And one small note, I don't know if they changed this patch, or it might be the last patch or the patch before, I can't remember. But boosts in hand aren't lost when cards evolve. So if you do Bountiful Harvest, boost up Ethne, that's fine. She used to lose that boost because if you got her up to say 10, it evolve and transform into 6. But now she keeps the boost, which I think was a minor change, which I really liked. And another card I'm impressed with is Naiad Fledgling, because this is kind of a value on value on value kind of card. You're proccing Symbiosis a lot, and that extra vitality is very, very nice. Just getting that extra bit on top is always nice. Basically, she almost works like a pseudo Symbiosis too, because you're sort of getting 2 extra points for each of your nature cards in effect, which is really nice. And the ability to remove vitality to boost self is a good way to protect it. Obviously, it does come down as a 4, so it's very susceptible to being removed, but it is what it is. It is what it is. This is sort of your Friday evening. Just sit back, don't think, no stress, just play a few cards kind of deck. It's very, very relaxing. Now, it should come as no surprise to anyone who's been watching me for a while that the first thing I did before I even built these decks was play Warriors. I, basically made my Warriors deck work and then just went straight in, and then I did the other decks later because this is the one I was kind of waiting for. The one I really wanted to try out, and it didn't disappoint. So what we have going on here is basically Warriors like it always has been, with Harold, your Ice, Blaze of Glory, so on, so on, so on. But we're not running Yutta. So what we're doing is we're using Iced to pull serve, to deal 11. Used to deal 12, 11 or 12. It's such a negligible difference. He comes down and you kind of float the order on serve until you have a turn where you can efficiently kill the Havru, which you're going to pull out. No point playing it earlier, giving your opponent a chance to protect it. And obviously we can kill it very easily because we're running Highland Warlords. Raids get stupidly big. Killing a 6 is basically nothing. We can Shordell it, we can War of Clans, we can Stunning Blow, we can get a couple of pings in, and then Primal Savagery. It's really not a problem. And then on top of that, because we thin so efficiently, Iced, Serve are both going to thin a card out with your leader. Blood Eagle's going to thin, Vabion's going to thin, we have the discard package for thinning. So we obviously have Magic Compass, and Magic Compass is Magic Compass. You have a sort of Swiss Army knife in your deck for whatever you need. Unit's gone very tall, you get Morkvarg. You see potential for replaying one of your cards that's going to get some value, go for Kusha. You're ahead and you just want to end the turn before your opponent can play the last card, you play Camby. And then every other option on top of that. There's Dire Bear would be good. Yeah, as I said, a million and one different things. One of the new cards which hasn't made its way in is Ulala. I find a space for her. Arguably could cut Vabion because with serve we're thinning even more efficiently now. So she may well fit in there. Here's one I want to try out, but she just didn't make it into this one. But I've also kind of changed my mind on Feral Bond. I wasn't overly impressed when I first saw it, but after using it, it's kind of grown on me a bit because completely forgetting how Highland Warlord would affect this. So what it does is it spawns a 2-power immune unit on your opponent's side and damages it by 1, and you create a Skellige Warrior, which, you know, would already be fine. However, you play your Warlords, and now it's going to damage it by 2, 3, 4, whatever. So not only does that mean you're functionally spawning a 2-power immune unit on your side, you're creating a Skellige Warrior, and provided you've played 2 or more Highland Warlords, you're also getting carryover for Bran, which is an aspect I didn't even think about, which was very, very good. Been really impressed with this one. And yeah, this is the deck I'm probably just going to grind, to be honest. I absolutely love playing this. Probably some areas I can make it a bit more efficient. I'd like to get a second War of Clans in if I can, but don't know how we're going to get that to happen. Maybe even try it without the Highland Warlords and stuff. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. There's plenty of ways you could approach this, and this is the one I've gone for, and it's working out so far. And to round us out is arguably the other deck, apart from Warriors, that I was very excited to play, which is Collusion. Before I get into this deck, I just need to give you a forewarning: don't play this yet. For just the saddest of reasons. The deck's pretty bugged. A few of the cards are very bugged that I've experienced. Siggy Mastermind doesn't seem to be not doing its tribute correctly, and don't know what interaction's causing it, but Little Birds B just locks itself out. You can't play it. I don't know why, which was super frustrating. I played like 1 game of this and literally lost because of it. Because for about 4 turns, I couldn't use Little Bird's order, which would have been, I had 2 down, and they were basically, 6 points a turn each. So I lost nearly 50 points because of this bug. And not many decks can get away with losing 50 points, can they? But even then, even that 1 game, I still only lost by like 5 points, and I lost 40 points, which is absolutely ridiculous. The deck feels very, very good. I did sort of discount Siggy Reuven as like, maybe he's not that good, maybe he's not necessary. But kind of changed my mind on that, to be honest. It feels very good in the sense that you can use him to get out your Collusion a little safer, because you can play anything from another gang. Not to mention, it can just operate as like a tutor for something like Jox or Horson. I found for Horson was arguably the best one to use him as a tutor for, because he's a cut-ups, and apart from Bloody Good Friends, we're gonna kind of struggle to get cut-ups down, and Horson is kind of squishy and quite a big target for your opponent, so yeah, that's kind of a card to try and remove, so that works out very well. Bart has also really impressed me, just because he's 6 power, 4 armor. That is so much for your opponent to deal with. Basically demands like a lock or very big removal, like a Karathi or something like that. And when we're running Kalkstein, locks aren't really going to do much. So he's really, really impressed me. And just the rest of the deck feels very, very good. As I say, if it wasn't for these bugs, and as soon as this gets like hotfixed and everything, this deck is going to be like top tier, like tier 1, I would say. I think the list is relatively refined. I think there's maybe some areas I could improve a little bit. Not 100% sure on the Helveed, to be honest. And even the Furker, to an extent, I don't think is necessary anymore. But yeah, the deck feels very, very good. Very, very impressed with it. Also, like the leader, so we're playing it in Pirate's Cove because I found Tide Cloaks were like, I'm not too sure about them. But I think also Jackpot would work just fine because we're playing Siggy, Profit's Profit, and Mutants Maker and that kind of thing. So yeah, I was very impressed with this, and as I said, very sad that there's the well game losing bug on Little Bird because she is as good as I expected her to be. I also didn't realize that the deploy infuse self with a gang category you get to choose. You're not limited by like it being like a random one, so you're kind of rolling the dice. You pick which gang it gets in effect, which is very very good. Kind of works as that. You have two little birds. There's two gang categories covered, and so you're less reliant on drawing the perfect hand where you have all of those categories available. So yeah, very impressed with this one, but unfortunately is not in a playable state, which is very, very disappointing. But that will round us out. That will round us out. I think there's plenty for you all to be trying out. And yeah, I'm not going to draw this video too long, apart from saying thank you for watching and go enjoy these. There's plenty of things to try out on ladder at the moment, and hopefully see you there. Appreciate you watching, and I will catch you in the next